Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I'm going to show you one of the models from Einhell's 18-volt range, the TCCD 1835 Li cordless drill driver. You're about to see a compact machine, but most importantly, it's offered at a really great price. But I won't say any more. Let's check it out in the next segment. See you in a bit. So here's the drill driver in question, the Einhell TCCD 18/35 Li. This is the machine that's compatible with all of the brand's power exchange batteries. So that means if you already own tools and especially batteries from the same range, you can reuse them with this machine. And while we're on the topic of batteries, just know that for a machine like this, which isn't particularly power hungry, a 2 amp hour battery will be more than enough. Even though, of course, it will have much less runtime than a 4 amp hour battery. But it'll let you have, and especially keep, a tool that's pretty lightweight and easy to handle. As for the motor, we're dealing with a classic brushed motor, which means we don't get the benefits of a brushless motor, especially the better battery life management, but it does allow this, and especially the brand, to offer this tool at a very attractive price. And when it comes to handling, we're looking at a tool that's still pretty lightweight since it weighs 988 grams. So that's the weight of the tool without the battery. Honestly, with a 2 amp hour battery, it's still a tool that I find pretty lightweight, easy to handle, and well balanced. There's also a grip on a good part of the handle, at least everywhere your hand touches, so it offers a good hold and comfortable use. The buttons are also well placed under your fingers, whether it's the direction switch or the triggers. There you go, and the motor responds really well to the trigger, whether you're pressing or releasing it. Honestly, nothing to complain about. As for the settings, you'll have a torque ring that lets you adjust the tightening torque to suit your needs. So you can vary the torque depending on the material's resistance and the type of finish you want to achieve. So it's a torque ring with 21 settings plus the drilling position here, which lets you use the maximum torque and, most importantly, disables the clutch function. And a little detail, because actually, for those who are already used to 18-volt drill drivers, usually right here, you have a setting that lets you adjust the rotation speed according to your needs. So just know that on this machine, we don't have that kind of adjustment, which also helps to lower the overall cost. And as for the chuck, just know that it's a pretty standard keyless chuck, which will let you use drill bits and augers ranging from 0.8 millimeters up to 10 millimeters in diameter. So that's a bit lower than on other 18-volt drill drivers you can find on the market, especially from Einhell. So I think it's a choice by the brand to really be able to offer a machine at a very reasonable price. We'll see that later at the end of the video, and especially how they managed to keep it so compact. But before we see a demonstration of this drill driver in action, let's talk a bit about its technical specifications. So earlier, I mentioned the 18-volt power supply. So this machine has a tightening torque of 35 Newton meters, which isn't really a lot. Personally, I generally recommend going for a machine with at least 50 Newton meters of tightening torque to be on the safe side, but considering its price, it's actually quite respectable, since it also allows the brand to offer this drill driver at a very competitive price. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. And as for the rotation speed, since there's only one on this machine, you can reach up to 550 revolutions per minute, which isn't huge either, again, for this type of machine, but it will still allow you to handle all kinds of screwing tasks and, above all, to drill quite efficiently. We'll see it anyway, and we'll especially check it in the previous segment where I actually show you this machine drilling into different materials like wood and metal. Now let's see how this machine performs in action by driving a fairly simple screw that's 4 millimeters in diameter. Of course, I have fitted the appropriate bit, in this case a PZ2. And as for the torque ring, for now, I'm going to set it to position 10. Let's see how that goes first. So here, honestly, as you saw, no difficulty at all. Now let's make things a bit harder with a screw that's 5 millimeters in diameter this time. Again, no problem at all. And to finish up this screwing session, let's see how it goes with a screw that's 6 millimeters in diameter, so a pretty hefty screw. Of course, I had to change the bit to switch to a PZ3. And here too, let's see how this screwdriver, or rather this drill, handles it. So for now, as far as the torque ring is concerned, I've kept it on position 10, just like earlier. So far, there hasn't been any problem. If needed, we'll just increase it as we go. So here, as you can see, we did get a bit of resistance from the material. especially when we had to drive the head of the screw into the support, which is pretty normal for this kind of tool. And since the tool disengaged, let's see what happens if I set it to position 21 to see if I can go a bit deeper. So now with position 21, obviously we have a bit more torque, and above all, it disengages a little later. So now I'm setting it to the maximum position to really get the most power out of this tool. So as you can see, we can't go any further with this tool, but we still managed to screw it in pretty well, even if the screw isn't completely flush with this type of material. After screwing, let's move on to drilling with a piece of MDF board. I've installed a drill bit with a diameter of 10 millimeters. Just to remind you, we're at the maximum capacity, or rather, well, yes, the capacity of the chuck. And let's see right away how it turns out. And as for the torque ring, of course I set it to drilling mode. You see? So of course, it takes a bit longer since the speed is actually limited to 550 revolutions per minute, but it still works pretty well. You see, really no problem at all. Here, once again, drilling into this type of material takes a bit longer, given the speed of this machine. And after wood, metal, this time with a 5 millimeter diameter drill bit. Of course, I applied a bit of cutting oil to keep the bit from overheating during drilling. So as you can see, drilling does take a bit longer than with a more powerful machine, but it still works pretty well, at least for this size of bit. As you saw, it's a machine that gets the job done, even though in terms of performance, it's a bit limited compared to other 18-volt machines on the market, especially when it comes to torque, since this machine is capped at 35 newton meters, and its rotation speed is limited to 550 revolutions per minute, which is relatively low compared to other machines out there. But as you saw in the demonstration, when it comes to screwing and drilling, honestly, it really gets the job done without any trouble. But of course, it will be much more limited than machines that are a lot more powerful. As for the motor, the brand has also made a choice here that helps lower the price, since this machine actually has a brushed motor. That means you don't get the benefits of a brushless motor, especially when it comes to better battery life management. But when it comes to handling, it's actually pretty good, especially since the machine weighs less than a kilo, so it's easy to handle, fits well in your hand, and is easy to use, which will help keep you from getting too tired. And on top of that, since it doesn't use much energy, you can simply use a 2 amp hour battery. That'll be more than enough, and will also help keep the weight reasonable. And finally, as for the price, you should know that you can find this drill/driver for around 40 euros. So that's the price for the bare tool, meaning without the battery or charger. So it's a tool that can be very appealing, especially if you're just starting out with DIY and you don't really want to spend a fortune. Because as you've seen in this video, this drill/driver will already let you do quite a bit of screwing and drilling without any trouble, as long as you stay reasonable with the diameter. Of course, if you go up in diameter, you'll need even more powerful tools. But overall, I think it's a good compromise, and above all, it's a good value for money for an entry-level tool like this. And as always, if you're interested in this drill/driver, feel free to check the description. I'll include the references for the best sellers, at least those offering this tool at the best price. There you go, this video is now coming to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. In any case, I'll see you very soon for a new video. See ya!